Yo, what's up, everybody? My name is Oliver Hayes. I'm joined by Harrison Simeon, and we are here for the second episode of the Scope Up SportsCast. Harrison, do you want to tell us what we're talking about today?
Well, I mean, it's pretty obvious, right? I mean, Colorado just took care of Nebraska. Looking forward to CSU this week, too. We're going to get into both of those games, and especially that Nebraska game. Huge win, home debut of Coach Prime. And, yeah, 36-14 was that final score. We scored a lot of points, but I think the real story was the defense.
Yeah, no, the defense definitely stood out. Shador talked about it. Coach Prime talked about it. Everyone knew it in that first half that the defense came to play and was a big difference in Colorado getting that W. Were there any names that stood out on the defense or any things that stood out in particular?
On the defense, I think Shiloh looked a lot better. I kind of saw how Shiloh looked a little bit shaky in coverage, but I think he looked a lot better today. And, you know, Nebraska isn't necessarily a good passing offense. We saw that. It's pretty clear to us now.
Yeah.
So, it made things easier. But Travis Hunter didn't get thrown at the whole game, which is still, against any team, and a very, very worthy accomplishment. You finally saw the pass rush start to get there. Alston got a sack and a half, and a Payne Jr. got that other half. The pass rush really started to get there, and it really started to rattle Sims behind center, and he just had a real rough day dealing with all the defensive front. I thought it looked way better. Secondary still looked pretty strong. Besides that one,
that one long
huge
run.
play for the touchdown, and that last touchdown that just made the score respectable, and all the backups were in. I thought the defense looked real good. Obviously, it was a concern coming out of the TCU game, especially the front seven. But they looked real good. And obviously, I think run defense is going to be a big point of emphasis still. They still allowed over 200 yards rushing. But overall, they made plays. Selman Craig had a pick. And we saw how they were able to, they maybe didn't force those fumbles from Nebraska. There was more Nebraska shooting themselves in the foot, but they were able to recover all of them, and they made some good tackles for loss. And I was really, really impressed overall with the defense, and I think that was the biggest reason we won.
Yeah, no, I was impressed too. I thought the biggest thing that contributed to Colorado's defense was Nebraska's inability to pass. No matter what, having 0 points scored in the first half on your defense is a plus. Even if they give away 2 turnovers, the passing game is non-existent. But because the passing game was non-existent, they were able to look for the run. I feel like that was a big thing that probably threw them off last week or 2 weeks ago versus TCU. And so because they were so focused on the run, they were able to form their defense around that, look for the run on most possessions. And then I thought the point that really kind of stood out is on the 2 fumbles that Colorado got off those fumbled snaps. Those were on drives. I think the second one was in the was on Nebraska's own 24 or 25, something like that. Mm-hmm. But one of the fumbles, they were on Colorado's side of the field. Nebraska had made a good drive, and then they had that fumble. And so Colorado had, they kind of got lucky a few times, I thought, with those turnovers. That missed field goal as well. Oh, yeah. Very reminiscent of that 2019 game off that upright. But they were able to take away that run game, and once they got some momentum after that Jace Feely field goal, and it was Nebraska's time to respond to Colorado finally get up on the board. I think it was either the first or second play, Jordan Dominic came screaming off the edge and absolutely laid out Irvin Jr. in the backfield. And from that point, Nebraska was like, okay, well, got to switch it up, got to make a play here. Next play is a false start, so 5 yards back. Play after that, that's the Selman Craig pick. That's the interception, and you could see Sims was rattled on that play. And so by taking away that run game, they were able to force that interception. And even though Sims had made some decent plays, he had a throw for a first down where he's moving to his right. Hit a diamond receiver for 15, 20 yards. He had a few decent passes, but really just taking care of that run game. It looked like a whole different team, and obviously I think that was just due to Nebraska not really having a passing game whatsoever. So.
Yeah, and, obviously a lot of heat's going to be going on Sims. I wouldn't be surprised, no matter what his health is, that he'll end up being benched for Harburg, the guy who came in at the end after Sims went down with an injury. But he has skill. He has skills. I mean, if you look at his stats, just 9 for 15, they didn't pass the ball very much. When they did, he was able to complete a majority of them.
Yeah.
He found the tight end several times over the middle. I thought he did a good job of kind of throwing the defense off, going with a lot of play action. They had a lot of pre-snap motion. That one of them ended up causing one of the fumbles, which did end up biting Nebraska in the butt. But I think overall their offensive game plan made me nervous in the beginning because for Nebraska to win this game, it would have had to been a rock fight. They would have not. They wouldn't have won 37-36. There would have been no way. With how their team is built, they're not built to win games like that. They're built to chew the clock, win games, 20-14. And you saw with the defensive front how their defensive front looked in the first half. It made me a little nervous. They would have had to win a real scrappy game, and it had to have been things were getting chippy a lot of the times. We had a lot of sportsmanlike conducts. I don't know if I've ever seen more in sportsmanlike conducts.
I think it was 3 in total for Colorado.
Yeah, I mean, one of them was just Shedeur taking his helmet off, but
yeah, and the other one, Savion Washington, he had on sportsmanlike after that potential late hit on Shedeur after he slid. So
yeah.
I mean, even on that one, I thought that one was okay.
Yeah, but it was still a very chippy game. I mean, Omarion Cooper seems to be
he seems to be
that kind of
in the middle of things.
Josh Norman-like corner that'll be just talking the whole time, no matter how good the receiver across from him is.
Yeah, and of course, I don't know, when Deion Sanders is your head coach, I mean, the whole team is just going to, I don't know, you pick up things from Coach Prime and you see how talented these players are, the type of guys that these guys are. And, I mean, they're talking from months beforehand, you know.
I mean, they're a real confident group.
Yeah, I mean, before this Nebraska game, it was, I mean, if you didn't know it was personal, I mean, you just weren't alive, I guess.
Right.
I mean, you knew that was personal for Colorado. You knew that they didn't like red. I mean, that was a given anyway for any Colorado team. But they had made it known. They had talked about Matt Rule and how personal, I don't know, his comments were about Colorado and Coach Prime and all those things. So yeah, I mean, it's really just Colorado taking on this new culture, which I think is another reason why they're winning these games.
Yeah, and there was a lot of dialogue coming into the game about, was how well were the Nebraska fans going to travel? How was that going to affect the game? How chippy, this is obviously our biggest rival. So a lot going into it. Obviously, Matt Rule had those comments over the summer, and maybe not directly calling out Coach Prime, which, some Nebraska fans have come to his defense and be like, oh, he never mentioned him directly. But it was a lot of, going against the grain of what Coach Prime was obviously heavily in the news for.
Yeah.
Which made it kind of obvious that's what he was talking about.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of drama, too, before the game. Obviously, a lot's come out since with Shedeur, obviously doing that.
Yeah, that midfield scuffle. Tell them the Nebraska boys go the other way.
Yeah, and I really don't get, because Matt Rule ended up saying, I think it was yesterday, he was like, oh, we just went out to, it was a pregame prayer. I don't know what kind of pregame prayer is on the logo of your opposing team, but if you're doing that against your biggest rival, you're just kind of asking for some sort of trouble.
Yeah, especially when you already have those comments, those other things. And I mean, I don't know, Shedeur mentioned it during the post-game press conference. But he was like, when someone talks about my dad, that's my family. I'm going to back them up. I'm going to talk my talk. And then we came to find out later in that press conference that when Shedeur took off his helmet, of course, Coach Prime got on him, like any coach would. And Shedeur's response to it was, what's personal? I hate these guys. I'm doing this for a reason. This isn't just some immature penalty. I don't know, it might be considered by some people. But he knew his intentions. He knew what he was doing. And I don't know. I thought that even though there were those unsportsmanlike penalties, for the most part, I thought they were on the more mature side for an unsportsmanlike penalty, if you want to describe it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Just because of the manner that they were I don't know. Yeah, they're brought up in. I mean, and even like Amarian Cooper's unsportsmanlike that we didn't talk about earlier, like that was a double unsportsmanlike. You know, I don't know who started it. I didn't see it exactly, but I mean, those are two guys for Colorado and Nebraska going back and forth at each other. And so as long as he's holding his own, I mean, like I said, just taking on that culture and I mean, Shedeur obviously came to back up his father, the Buffs. I mean, the whole team really came to play, I thought.
And I thought it was really impressive how, like, these guys are all new. Like 99% of these players are playing Nebraska for the first time. They, are just finding out about the history of this rivalry, this past week or two. And the fact that they kind of made it feel like it's been a rivalry game, these teams have played each other over and over, it was really impressive. And, like, the fact they were able to kind of use that as fuel to end up winning big was the most important part of it.
Yeah, no, I thought so too, because, like, I don't know, obviously these guys may have played Nebraska in other uniforms, but yeah, most of them not in the Colorado uniform. I forget the number that Jared mentioned, but there's only I want to say three players and staff from the last Nebraska game. I want to say it was Marvin Ham. There's one.
Well, I know Michael Harrison.
Oh yeah, Michael Harrison.
I think there might be 10 actually.
It might be more. I don't know. I remember Jared labeled like 3 specifically.
I've heard a bunch of different numbers, but I know Marvin Ham, I know Trevor Woods, Michael Harrison, Christian Likenden.
Well, yeah, I'm just trying to think of all those guys that were there for the Nebraska game in 2019 specifically.
Oh, for 2019.
Because I know Marvin Ham was there.
Sense.
Marvin Ham was there. There may have been there were at least 2 other guys. One of them was a player during that game, who I think is now a graduate assistant, if I'm not mistaken, based on what Jared said. So I don't know. Hopefully, I'm not messing up these stats and smudging Jared's name.
I mean, you're close enough, probably.
But yeah. Anyway, the point is there weren't that many players from the last time that Colorado matched up, and so for Colorado to bring this energy, bring this confidence, bring the bad blood, and just all these things contributed to this huge win on Saturday.
Yeah, it was just a real beautiful day overall. I think, things started kind of rough. Obviously, there was no score until about midway through the second quarter. The O-line looked a lot worse than it did that first week. Obviously, the O-line was a big bright spot of the opening game against TCU. And TCU had a decent pass rush. That was one of their few strengths on defense was their pass rush, and they looked good. But this week against Nebraska, 8 sacks. Like, that's all I really need to say. Shedeur was running around all day. But I think once that Nebraska defense started to tire a little bit in the second half, Shedeur was able to get away better. Colorado still played with energy, and we just ended up pouring it on. Yeah,
because I think the 2 things that probably came into play with that was, or at least the one big thing that kind of stands out is obviously Nebraska now has film. They knew that the run game wasn't going to be strong. They knew that TCU was still able to have good pass protection despite the offensive line playing better than a lot of people expected. So I think I wouldn't be surprised if Matt Rule, Nebraska defensive coordinator, and other coaches kind of came together and was like, yeah, let's pressure the hell out of Colorado. Make sure that they're not running the ball at all. I think I forget exactly how many rushing yards combined Colorado had. I wanted to say it was like
70. It was 72.
Okay.
But I mean,
well, yeah, they also throw in the sacks. They throw in the sack yardage.
If you take out sacks, I mean, Edwards had 55, Hankerson had 26, Offerdahl had 11, Dawson had 8 on that end around, and then Wilkerson had just 1. So that's 9. 20, 46 plus 55 is like 101.
Yeah, 101. I don't know. Either way, point is,
still not good.
The run game was not really there. I mean, a lot of that came from a 34-yard run by Dylan Edwards, too. So I mean, the run game did not come to play, and Nebraska knew that based off what TCU saw. So I wouldn't be surprised if I don't know, the offensive line performance declining was a result of having a whole entire week of film on Colorado.
Right. I do think there is, obviously still some bright spots. You saw Christian Likenden, Tank, as they call him, won Pac-12 Offensive Lineman of the Week.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, still great. I mean, especially to have that as your blindside blocker for Shedeur. Have a guy who's 6'10", can, still hold his weight against a defensive front like Nebraska. That's really promising, and I think it'll be important for the guards to step up, for the right tackle, Savion. He looked good in the open field. Overall in pass protection, though, I think overall as a unit, they need to step up.
Yeah.
It'll be good. I don't know if this test this week will be that great, but I think, again, once we get to Oregon, we're going to really see what this O-line's made of.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think so too. And, I mean, I'm interested to see how this line comes together throughout the whole game. Because obviously in the second half they played much better. And, I mean, the reason that Colorado scored their first touchdown was because of the O-line. The O-line seemed to be the key of the offense. I mean, on that first touchdown, you could see the play develop, and you almost knew from the second that you saw the O-line protect Shedeur that Dawson Jr. was going to be open, because you saw him coming across the middle of the field towards that front right pylon. And, I mean, from the press box at least, for that overhead kind of bird's eye view, you could see that he was open and that the line was doing their job. And so when the line came to block, it allowed the play to develop, it allowed receivers to get open. And I don't know. I'll let you comment on the O-line a little bit more.
Yeah,
but I have another point that leads into the receiving core afterwards. So.
Yeah, I mean, I guess part of my O-line point has to do with the receiving core, because, I mean, as soon as you see that there's a clean pocket for Shedeur, I mean, it's over. One of those receivers is going to be open.
Yeah.
We have that good of a core. But I think it's just like the fact that even with the O-line struggling like it did, Shedeur still being able to improvise and throw for, 393 yards, had that big rushing touchdown. Obviously, we saw that huge improvisation on the 2-point conversion that didn't end up counting, but another play, like the first week it was with Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
This week it was the 2-point conversion with Shedeur, like an absolute Patrick Mahomes, run around like crazy type of play.
Yeah, no, I tweeted out that the Buffaloes and their almost plays are, again, John Moran poster-esque with the amount of almost. But yeah, I mean, you said it was Patrick Mahomes-esque. I saw on Twitter how similar it was to I don't know why the dude just slid my name. Either way, big play, big famous play. You might have, if you saw it on Twitter, you know what I'm talking about. But anyway,
about a big almost play.
No, it was comparing Shedeur's 2-point conversion, just the way he ran around. I want to say it was some old play. I don't know. Anyway, we can move ahead. But yeah, no, Shedeur had to improvise a lot, and even though he had to do that a lot, it was impressive how long he was really able to stay alive and stay on his feet. Because that 2-point conversion, he had one. There was one play where he actually ended up running out of bounds at the end of it. But, I mean, he scrambled, I don't know, 20, 30 yards backwards, running around for 10-plus seconds before eventually running out of bounds and having to punt. But, I mean, if he stayed alive for a little bit longer from the press box, I thought Jimmy Horn Jr. potentially got behind the defense. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, just being able to do that creates extra plays. And so yeah, no, that's huge.
Yeah, and I think one more thing I'll add is the fact that he still had a 74% completion percentage, 31 for 42, threw for almost 400 yards, while getting sacked 8 times. It just shows how resilient he is.
Yeah.
And how he's able to just not be shattered, not be mentally shaken by the defense.
Yeah.
Even though he was having to run for his life, basically, still able to make accurate throws. Still had, he's a special player.
Yeah.
Special players make special plays, and they're not scared of any defense, no matter how many times you go down.
Yeah. Yeah, and so Shedeur being a special player, that obviously helps a lot. But going to the receiving core, I mean, obviously, I don't know, Travis Hunter is the one that stands out to everybody because of how amazing he is on both sides of the ball and how amazing he is as a receiver. But with that, he's drawing a ton of attention. So you look at some of those other guys, Jimmy Horn Jr., he didn't get as many catches, but I mean, Xavier Weaver, he's the one that stood out to me.
That's the biggest story.
He led the team in receptions, yards. Him and Dawson Jr. both had a receiving touchdown, both their first of the season. And the thing that stood out to me was that because Travis Hunter was getting so much attention, Dylan Edwards is getting so much attention in the flats, you have Jimmy Horn Jr. to worry about. Xavier Weaver was facing single coverage a lot of the time.
Yeah.
He was able to get open. He was able to get deep on a deep ball for 40-plus yards. was able to get that touchdown. And I mean, you saw it in the first half how open he was getting. The line with with their lesser play in the first half, Weaver and Shador didn't connect as many times. But in the second half, I mean, that was money. I mean, It's just, I mean, if you were to add up the fantasy points for PPR, that's 27. I mean, that's 33 points for Weaver.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And I think the biggest thing is it's just that, it's a pick your poison.
Yeah.
If you're trying to cover a receiver, because we have 3, and, because Edwards is active in the passing game, we saw in the TCU game, you have 3, 4, 5 players that you're going to have to pay attention to at all times, while you have an amazing quarterback on the other side giving them the ball. So the fact that we're able to put up, in what felt like, again, a 36 with a lot of missed opportunities, when we had 0 in the first quarter, and near halftime we only had 3, and we were still able to put up 36 on a defense like Nebraska's, was extremely promising. And for Weaver, I think he'll be a huge part of the offense going forward. You saw how he was able to run after the catch, had 63 yards, and was also big in being a big target on third downs. Because we've seen, I don't know if Shador really has a safety blanket yet. Hasn't really found that guy where he's able to connect.
During TCU, it seemed to be Travis.
Yeah, it was.
During TCU, I mean, it just seemed like, he could look towards Travis, kind of throw that ball up.
But I don't know if he has a real because we've seen Edwards make huge plays out of the check down, but not with a lot of volume. And we haven't really seen much from any of our tight ends.
Yeah.
So I think overall, that safety blanket, the fact that we don't even have a connection Shador can just check the ball down to, pick up some little gains. The fact that we're able to not have that and still go 9 for 17 on third downs, and still win the time of possession battle, is just it was super duper duper great.
Yeah, I mean, and we didn't even bring up the highest scoring player, Tarvarish Dawson Jr. It was his first game action. He had a receiving touchdown in the first half, the first touchdown of the game. Had a rushing touchdown on, it looked like some fake triple option.
Oh, I love that.
That play looked fantastic. It was it was a shotgun split back formation, except Harrison was the fullback. He was moved a little bit further up. Harrison, he cuts in front of Shador. As Shador moves to his left, Shador fakes the shell pass to him. Looks like he's going to pitch it out to, I believe it's Hankerson on his left.
It's either him or Edwards.
Pretty sure it's Hankerson. And so as he goes to pitch it to Hankerson, while everyone's focused on that, you have Dawson Jr. faking his block and cutting backwards from the left side of the field to run back in between Hankerson and Shador for that pitch. And then all he has to do is follow the big man, Savion Washington, who laid out a poor Nebraska defender at the goal line for a second touchdown. And so, I mean, anyway, the point is, you have Sean Lewis, Sean Lewis at offensive coordinator. You have Tarvarish Jr. scoring all these points in this game, and they're not even talked about when you're talking about how great this offense is. And I mean that's just an attribution to just how great this offense is. And that kind of leads me to my next point. Was an improved special teams play. Obviously, the Jace Feely made all his field goals. That was big. No real mishaps. But the thing that stood out to me was, I think the first 4 possessions that Colorado had, I want to say that there was 1 turnover on downs in those ones. If not, there was all of those were punts. But I mean, you look at those punts, there was only 1 touchback. Besides that, everything else was, all the punts were great. Yeah. Nebraska was not starting good field position. Between both weeks, there's only been 1 turnover with that Dylan Edwards kind of freak fumble as he falls onto his own player's leg.
Well, unless you count the, I don't know if you want to count, but when Staub came in as a backup, he fumbled on one of his first.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you really count that.
But that
was when the game was already out of hand and pretty much over.
But during actual play, they've limited the turnovers when Colorado has to punt. His first name is escaping me, but Vassett, the punter. He's
Mark.
Mark Vassett. He's punted really well. From his first punt in that TCU game was that one that corner coffin punt on the 1 yard line.
And it's great to see how we have a dominant offense, but when we do have to are forced to punt, and maybe the offense doesn't look as in sync as it did for a lot of the first half of Saturday, we can still put the other team in bad field position.
Yeah.
Bissett had a great day. Feely, I was really impressed how he was able to bounce back. The kickoffs were way better. He just was able to get them through the back of the end zone instead of out of bounds, as a couple of them went.
I think it was only one during these TCU. But either way, the special teams just looked a lot better. You look at the special teams and the offense for how they carry themselves with not turning the ball over. You really just see how the offense and special teams came together to really play some great defense in this game, because even though Nebraska kind of gave away some chances with decent field position, had some trouble in that red zone area, missing that field goal. You can say, oh, that's Nebraska shooting themselves in the foot. That's Nebraska giving the game away. But when you have to run 9, 10, 12, 15 plays on a drive, they've had to go pretty much the whole length of the field. They're tired. They're the offensive coordinator's trying to figure out plays. Obviously the red zone is the hardest place to call plays for. You have the least amount of space. The offense and the special teams really, even when they weren't scoring the ball, were really attributing to winning this game. And then, of course, the defense showed up every time and came to play.
I think that special teams and the offense all feeds back to that defense, because they were able, maybe we didn't capitalize off the turnovers as well as we could have, but I think overall that the defense making those plays, even if it was some of Nebraska's own mistakes, we were able to, pounce on them. We were able to really, obviously, keep them shut out in the first half when they had some things going for them in the running game. And by the time halftime rolled around, we could make those we had time to make those adjustments and eventually stuff the running game. And besides that one huge play from Sims, we were able to stop the run and kind of disrupt what they were trying to do. And by then, they would be punting the ball to us, turning the ball over to us, and the score got wider and wider and pretty much put the game out of reach.
Yeah. Honestly, that kind of wraps up everything from the Nebraska game.
Yeah, honestly.
So I don't know. I guess we could go a little bit into what we did on those games. If you want to talk about what you did.
Oh, that was
kind of how that experience was.
Real fun. I actually considered wearing my vest that I wore on the sideline.
Before you go, it was also Harrison's birthday.
Oh,
so
it was
Colorado came in for the huge dub.
Yeah, it was a great birthday present.
But yeah. Anyway.
I almost brought my vest because I was working as a parab operator for Fox Sports. I got an opportunity through some of the higher ups here at Go Buffs, and it was so much fun.
Yeah,
just being there near the sideline. I did get on TV after I think Shador overthrew Travis on a third down.
Oh yeah,
and the ball went towards me, and my parents sent me oh, we saw you on TV, holding up the thing. But no, it was so much fun. It was real hot. I got pretty sunburnt, as you might be able to tell in this video. But it was great. And what did you do for it?
I was in the press box. I mentioned that earlier when describing some of the plays. So I was just writing.
Yeah, you had a great view.
Yeah, I went to the press conference afterwards. Got to listen to Shador, Weaver, Taj Alston, Coach Prime, of course. So that was a really great experience. And for me personally, I've covered one football game in the past, but this was my first time in the press box.
That's nice.
And so that's pretty crazy given the magnitude of this game. Then you also look at the media side of things. Colorado set a record for the amount of media people that they had at this game. It was over 800 media members.
Yeah, and that's over 200 more than the previous record, right?
Yeah, something like that. It was insane. It was shoulder to shoulder in the press box. And so it was absolutely crazy. Just being there was amazing.
And it was the highest attended game in general for any Colorado game, highest attended in 15 years.
Yeah, it was the most expensive football game of the weekend, potentially the year.
Most watched football game too.
It was.
Actually, I thought it was more watched than Nebraska. The second most was Texas, Alabama.
Okay,
but
I don't know. I thought they were pretty close. Either way,
I know we had more views.
Okay,
more people watched ours. And the fact that
either way,
they all watched it, and Nebraska is such a hard watch.
Yeah,
is just really seeing all these people are tuning in to see Coach Prime.
Yeah, no, 100%. I'm kind of interested to see what the viewership numbers were looking like as the game progressed, like, is Colorado such a great team that even when the game was out of reach and it wasn't really, I mean, I don't know, for football fans, for sports fans, it's definitely watchable. For Colorado fans, it's watchable. Nebraska fans, I don't really know how watchable that team in general is, specifically that game.
It had to have been, I mean, it was because of Coach Prime. It was because we might have 2 Heisman Trophy candidates with Shedeur and Travis Hunter. Yeah. And the fact that, I mean, there were so many prime effects you could see in this game, besides just the attendance and the numbers. You had a huge number of special guests that I was even very close to. I was having to navigate my parab mic around Terrell Owens, around Michael Irvin. Yeah. I saw Stephen A. Smith, Shannon Sharp, a lot of Colorado basketball legends like Chauncey Billups showed up, Spencer Dinwiddie, Derek White. Who else?
Yeah, I don't know.
A lot of.
I'm trying to think of like other people that showed up, but you mentioned those basketball players, and you think that we also had Colorado had a lot of basketball recruits.
They did, and I think some of that game influenced.
Yeah, at least one player. I apologize, I forget his name.
I have it right here. It's a bit hard to pronounce, but it's Dorian Onwuchekwa.
Okay,
Onwuchekwa.
Don't mean to be disrespectful. We'll get that eventually.
Close enough. We'll know once he's with us.
Yeah. Once he's here,
it won't
we'll know.
Be this year, but it'll be next year. 4-star center.
Yeah, I mean that's huge. So yeah, and I mean you look at some of the other recruits. I forget exactly who all was in attendance specifically, but I mean I saw a tweet, and it was like, how could you not commit to Colorado? And the clip was Derek White, Spencer Dinwiddie surrounding all the recruits on the sideline as a Fox camera is in their face, and they're freaking out as Colorado is beating down Nebraska in the biggest football game in the whole entire weekend, basically. Like, just that idea is so crazy, and it really speaks to all the, I don't know, just all the things that Coach Prime has done for CU, Boulder, all the other sports, like just everything in general. I mean, it's huge.
The atmosphere was just unreal, and to be on the field for that, like the only thing I just loathed was because I was working with Fox Sports, I couldn't take part in the field storming. I would have loved to be there for that. And the 2 guests I was trying to remember were a rap group and a rapper.
Oh yeah, Wu-Tang
Clan.
Yeah, Wu-Tang was in the building.
The whole Wu-Tang Clan and Cameron. So yeah,
no, that's a special audience right there.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Along with all those recruits for football, I mean, I saw Deion say in the press conference today the phone's like off the hook with people
I bet.
interested in the program.
Yeah.
And if you thought that before this season it was a lot, and we don't even have Cormana McLean yet.
Yeah.
We still haven't seen much of Alta McCaskill. Like there's was Brendan Gant, another guy we got from Florida State that could help that front 7.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Miles Slusher in that first game against TCU, but he was hurt against Nebraska, and he made that game-winning tackle against TCU. So I mean, it's something that people don't realize, but Colorado isn't even full strength yet. Yeah. I mean, there's still pieces that are moving. Guys getting healthy. I mean, Jawan Mitchell saw his first game time this week. He transferred in August.
And I think Caviosi smoked too.
Oh yeah, it was Caviosi Smoke got his first.
Well, he just had one carry for no yards, but I mean, I'm sure he'll be more involved in offense moving forward.
Yeah,
sure.
And I mean, you look at I don't know. We brought up Tarvaris Dawson Jr. He of course had a great game. I don't think he played against TCU, and you just I mean, it's absolutely phenomenal.
I think Dawson did play against TCU, but he just wasn't as involved.
Yeah. Either way, I mean, you just have guys that are showing up, new guys that are coming in. It is really insane about how much you can talk about Colorado sports, specifically Colorado football. I mean, you look at some of the other guests. I forget the recruits' names. Colorado had top quarterback recruits in the nation.
Yeah. The Underwood, I'm pretty sure.
I want to say his name was Bryce Underwood.
Yeah. He's the top quarterback, I think one of the top players of 2025.
Yeah, and something like that.
A 5-star corner we just got committed the other day. It's for 2026, so it's a long way away.
Yeah, but
still, I mean, I think it was the top player in Georgia, or top corner in Georgia at least.
Yeah, because obviously I don't know how long Coach Prime is going to stay. There's a lot of speculation that he might move on, but just building this culture, building this program back from what it was, I mean, it's just absolutely insane. I mean,
I know.
I mean, I'm interested to see exactly how Jackson State is doing this year. I need to look back specifically, but where will they be at the end of this year in comparison to where they were last year? Obviously, they're going to have a little bit of a decline, but I mean, the prime effect is definitely a very real thing if you have not realized by now.
And there's future effects for it too. I mean, obviously for this week we'll have First Take coming to Boulder on Friday, College game day and big noon kickoff again, and then the Oregon game got moved to a national TV slot.
Oh yeah, ABC.
Again, on ABC. I mean, it's going to be damn near every game. On national TV.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely insane. I mean, yeah, just the craziest thing. I mean, the last time game day was here, I want to say it was 1996.
Wow.
If I'm not mistaken. So I mean, just unreal things. As you guys know, as the Colorado team keeps showing, as the city of Boulder keeps showing, just from top to bottom. I mean, yeah. Just the whole entire revamp.
It looks like Jackson State, is 1-1 right now. They lost. Okay. They beat Southern, but lost to Florida A&M. So they're decent. Or actually, they're 2-1. I mean, maybe I'm missing a game. Yeah. It says their record's 2-1. So
I don't know. Either way, from what I remember, I believe that they had some improved facilities, and among other things that Coach Prime was able to do for Jackson State. And so it's just phenomenal. Of course, winning football games is a big thing, but like Coach Prime talked about after the game, but he's so happy with how many more African American fans Boulder has, how many more African Americans he's seeing in the stands around Boulder. And he's noticing everything. I mean, when he was asked about the economic impact that he's had on the city of Boulder, and he said, "Well, I don't really care about the economic impact; it's the social impact." And that's when he brought up all of the new African American faces that he's seen, all the new diversity that he's brought, the amount of African American young men that he's been able to lead on a football team, that he will continue to lead, the amount of lives that he's changed so far. Like, it is just absolutely insane, and you know that his heart is in the right place. I mean, you look at the players that he has. Shador carries himself really well. Shaw carries himself really well. Like, those are his kids. If you look at Travis Hunter, very mature. We talked about it in the last podcast. Like, it's just insane.
Yeah, I was able to actually talk to him on the sideline.
Oh, you were?
Yeah, I would just Trav, you're unreal. And he was real grateful. So, yeah, it was great. I mean, Coach Prime overall, it's just you could go on forever talking about all the effects and all the positive things and all just the joy, and it just feels like Boulder is it's been completely rejuvenated.
Yeah.
From a pretty generic, not very historically successful football program to, now we kind of think of ourselves as a sports school. You're seeing it in soccer. You're seeing it in volleyball. You could see it in basketball this year.
You're going to see it in basketball for sure.
Women's basketball.
Yeah, women's basketball for sure. Although they kind of already built that by themselves.
Yeah,
women's basketball was already cooking.
Before Coach Prime even had the thought of coming here, and now we are opening the season against LSU, the former national champs.
Yeah. So big things on the way for all sports. So I believe that's honestly a pretty good transition over to talk about some of the other sports that are in season right now.
Or did you want to real quick just touch on the Colorado State game?
Oh yeah, I guess let's talk about the Colorado State game real quick. I haven't really looked at Colorado State's offense, or I haven't really looked at their game plan too much. I haven't really looked at the team, but
I'd say they're improved from last year.
It would be hard to not improve from last year.
If you asked me, if we played them as the 1-11 team, I still think we would have had a chance to win.
Yeah, I thought so too.
They were atrocious last year, but they did have a pretty good recruiting class.
Yeah.
Compared to some of the other teams in Mountain West. They did have a pretty good recruiting class, and they are going to be starting a new quarterback, so very limited film. They've only played one game. They lost to Washington State, I think.
Yeah, I believe that's correct.
And Washington State's a good team. So, you can't really take
they're ranked 23rd, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pac-12 is going to be real loaded going forward. And we're playing a lot of those teams. So, yeah, it was Braden Fowler Nicolosi. It was named the starter yesterday.
Okay.
So it'll be real interesting. This is a very textbook trap game because you have these two big, giant climactic wins. Obviously, the season opener and then the home opener against your biggest rival. Again, this is your biggest rival, another big rival, biggest in-state rival. But you can't look down your competition. The last thing you want to do right now is just be what is the Oregon game going to look like? Oh, what is USC? Can we make the college football playoff? You can't look too far ahead already. you have to really stay focused on week to week. And I think Coach Prime does a real good job. You saw in the press conference today, he wasn't really there to talk about a lot of the Nebraska stuff or a lot of the stuff looking forward. He was really just focused on the Colorado State game.
Yeah, and I think that comes from obviously like Coach Prime being who he is. But I don't know. I mentioned Sean Lewis earlier, but that whole coaching staff. We've compared to an NFL coaching staff. I believe I forget the exact numbers. I always get mixed up, but it's like 8 of 17 or 7 of 18 or something like that. There's a decent amount of staff members on the Colorado coaching staff that were NFL coaches.
Yeah.
And that really makes a difference. Of course, they know exactly not to overlook this game. They know the mindsets to have. They know what to tell their players. That's just a whole upside that most other colleges do not get the luxury of enjoying.
Right.
Like literally every other. I think Colorado probably has one of the best coaching staffs in the whole entire nation.
Yeah, and the fact that we've been able to bring in like football legends, like we have a football legend as our coach, so that's a huge benefit to have because he has connections. He brought in Terrell Owens, he brought in Michael Irvin, he most recently brought in Warren Sapp to come and talk to these players, give them advice from an NFL perspective, not just from coaching but from as a player, the mindset to have. It's a huge benefit. The fact that it's not just like alumni, because if you go through alumni, there's definitely NFL talent, David Bakhtiari, players like that.
Yeah, and even like Matt McChesney. He was at the game. I don't know. I know him a little bit more just because growing up in Colorado, I had a lot of football friends that worked out at his gym, 6-year academy. Cool. Matt McChesney, he's always been around. So even some of those guys that weren't football guys that were Colorado alumni, McChesney, he was an NFL guy, but no one's really thinking of McChesney when you're thinking of NFL guys that much. But just the fact that he's still there and still able to give knowledge, still will hype up the team and play a big role is huge.
Yeah, and I'll leave one more thing for the Colorado State game. If I'm not there for the preview coming out on Score West Sports in the next few days, I'll just leave my score prediction here. I'll say I think it may be a little bit close at first, like again close in the first half, and then we again pull away as we because again it's a rivalry game.
Yeah.
Colorado State's going to go in real motivated, but I'm going to say 41-14 us.
Okay.
Well, 40. I'll say 41-17 actually. Not that matters, but Colorado obviously I think will get the win. Even if we don't play our best game, I still think we can win just because of how we've looked these first few weeks. I'm really excited, and we can go into those other sports now if you wanted to. Unless you wanted to leave a score prediction.
Well, I kind of want to hold off on mine because I ended up changing mine last week during the preview, and I was close again. I said 41-17.
Okay.
Score was 36-14. That's not bad. Of course, that last second touchdown by Nebraska helped me out a little bit, but still not bad for both my score predictions. I've correctly guessed Colorado's both times so far. I think even just doing that for TCU is impressive. Never mind looking at my scores. So, anyways, enough about me. But yeah, let's get into I guess let's start with soccer.
They just recently got ranked. I think that's the biggest thing.
Okay.
They moved into the top 25. They're at 24, and after that, they had a win against Colgate on Sunday after the day after the Nebraska game. Huge game winner. From I forget who scored it, but it was another top 10 caliber goal.
Yeah, no, that was phenomenal.
Off a throw in. It was Juliana Hayward. That was fire. That
was something spectacular. Because I don't know, I've noticed this at least twice. But Colorado, I don't know. I wish I knew who was doing the throw-ins. But you know how they do those throw-ins where they do that kind of headstand flip over thing to throw the ball even further?
I have it.
If you know what I'm talking about, they're doing that to get the ball in bounds.
That's so cool. I saw it.
They have
my game.
They have the flip throw-in to get the ball into the box from the side.
What's her name?
And then it led into the
Ava
volley
Priest.
for.
I think it's Ava Priest.
Okay, gotcha.
But Shira James has done great.
Yeah, Shira
at
James.
The top.
She had
scored a lot of goals.
She had that top 10 goal the other day.
Well, that was Amai Gonzalez who had the goal.
Oh, that was okay. Never mind.
Yeah.
I was getting a little confused because I don't know. There's just been so many highlights. Like there was
I know.
I mean,
and we've been winning. We had that big win a few weeks ago against Michigan State. They're ranked.
Because James was the one that had that game winner.
Yes.
Right.
She had the game winner.
Okay,
off the
so
corner
James had the game winner.
But then the one that actually made top 10 was Amai Gonzalez.
So yeah, I mean, no, it's kind of crazy. I mean, whole lineup is making plays. For this Division I.
We got a team of playmakers.
So yeah, no, I mean, and that's just our Division I team. You look at our club soccer teams. We actually broadcasted the men's goal team
Check that out.
on Sunday.
That was fun.
So if you want to rewatch that, you can. We'll be broadcasting more club soccer games in the future. But yeah, I mean, I forget which teams exactly are ranked. I think. Do you remember?
All of them.
All the club teams? Okay.
Well, in terms of our region, we're pretty high.
Yeah, so for the region that our club soccer team's playing, they've all played well. In the game that we covered, the gold team beat Colorado School of Mines 3-2. Yeah, that was an exciting game. I mean, yeah, Colorado soccer has been on the rise.
Yeah.
Volleyball.
Volleyball's been doing great too.
They've still kept up their win streak. If I'm not mistaken, right? Or
they dropped one to Kansas.
Okay.
They dropped one to Kansas on the road. I know they have been playing real well though. They bounced back against Wichita State.
6-2. Okay.
6-2. They did lose Kansas State, but before that, I mean, they won in straight sets to Wichita State. They won 5 straight, six games in a row.
Games without losing a set.
Or was that 7?
7?
Well, yeah. Well, for the Colorado Classic at least.
Yeah, I don't know.
We did not drop a set the entire Colorado Classic.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And wait, no, this is actually the wrong game. So I think it was 5. This says UNC.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I was in attendance for that Colorado versus Xavier game. These girls, they do not come to play. Like
they don't mess around.
They beat down on some of the teams that they beat. I mean, if it wasn't hard, I mean, if you couldn't tell, not having lost a set for 5 straight games for a whole tournament, that's very insane. I mean, I wish I knew the players a little bit better. I wish I knew volleyball a little better to give a little bit of a better analysis. But I mean,
I know we had one of them that I think is one of their top players had a candidate for our play of the week for our show.
She did.
What was it? It was it was Sydney Jordan, I think. I'm not there yet, but I think it was Sydney Jordan. Oh wait, I guess I passed it up. But I think
there it is.
Yeah. Yeah, Sydney Jordan.
Yeah.
She's had some real nice like spikes and just kills, and she's been real dominant. I don't know the entire roster. Obviously, we could go into many names that have contributed, but
Okay.
Lights going down. Maybe that's just the motion sensor.
Yeah. Well, this is fine because we only have a few minutes left just to wrap up. But yeah, no. Her in specific, she's a very fun player to watch. She's athletic. She has a nice frame for her position. So that really helps with her spikes, her blocks, of course.
Yeah, I think Morgan Riddle was another person I saw that's done well.
Yeah. But anyway,
overall.
Yeah, no.
And then they play Colorado State in kind of a build up to our Rocky Mountain Showdown with football.
And then doesn't soccer also play Colorado State next weekend?
I would have to look, but
either way,
wouldn't shock me. They're all coming to town. I know that. They don't play Colorado State.
I don't think it's the women's team. I think it's the men's team that plays.
Men's club?
Yeah. I want to say their top team plays CSU on Sunday next week. Yeah. So a lot of Colorado versus CSU coming your way this upcoming weekend. I think that's really kind of everything.
Yeah.
To touch on.
Into every sport.
Yeah.
That's going on. Obviously, we touched on basketball, how those recruits have been coming in with those prime effects.
Yeah. Touched on the women's team. Yeah. I think that's everything.
Yeah.
So
wow.
So yeah, no. I'll be in the press box for CU versus CSU.
I will be doing radio play-by-play. I don't know if that's gonna be live. We'll figure it out.
Check the social medias for that.
Yeah, we will let you know. Also, we may have some people go to First Take We're gonna see maybe people go to First Take or College Game Day or Big Noon.
Yeah.
It's like,
there's just so much stuff.
You know?
And that's just for football. We still got people going to volleyball, people going to soccer, our live show on Fridays. Me and Milena and Jared are going to try and get our preview out on Friday for the football game. You might be there.
If depending on the time y'all film it.
Yeah.
I have class.
And our affiliate, The Bold, our newspaper.
Oh yeah, that's starting today.
Yeah, they relaunched today. So articles will be going up on The Bold. If you haven't checked out The Bold or haven't read any articles, articles will be going up there. We're writing about football, soccer, volleyball, every sport, even trying to get intramurals, and some other things like rock climbing and.
Yeah, by the time you see this video, there will be plenty of articles on The Bold to read about the past few football games, about the soccer, volleyball, all the sports coming up.
Yeah,
we're really trying to expand our horizons there.
A lot of great content. Of course, we have our podcast. When hockey gets going,
Jimmy's Tailgate Takeover.
Oh yeah, we have Jimmy's Tailgate Takeover. I believe that has 6,000 views right now.
Well, the one for this week?
I think so. It's blown up. It has blown up so far.
I gotta check on that.
Yeah, how many is it at?
5,000.
Okay, yeah.
Wow,
either way, but that's still insane.
Yeah, and there's so much going on. We're really happy with what we're doing right now.
Yeah, no, a lot of good stuff.
And
but
we'll see you at the CSU game. That'll be fun.
Yeah, no, for sure. And we'll see you at multiple CSU games, like we said. Volleyball, soccer, and then football, of course, the big one that we'll be covering. So, yeah, my name is Oliver Hayes.
I'm Harrison Simeon, and you're watching the Scobo SportsCast episode 2. And do you want to say our little slogan we do around here?
Yeah, you guys heard it here first. Peace.